Hello everyone, and welcome to Secrets Behind the Stars. All the layers of tonight's story are right here in this video. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, subscribe, and, if you want to support us a little more, consider hitting that join button below. Thank you for being here. Now let's dive in. In an era where stories are swallowed whole and rewritten before lunch, there was one morning that resisted becoming a headline. It asked to be quiet. It wanted to be a hug, a steady shoulder, a breath. People close to the scene agree on something simple. When Gökberk Yıldırım faced one of the hardest days of his life, he didn't reach for a microphone. He didn't write a statement. Salvation arrived in the most stripped-down form possible, the immediate, silent presence of Cemre Arda. Some call it an extravagant gesture. Others say it's just loyalty, plain and unadorned. But in essence, what happened was bigger than spectacle. It was proof that some connections don't need applause to exist. Those who know Gökberk describe a man who has spent years polishing control into an art form. He's learned to tame his expression under glaring lights, to measure every syllable like a performer who knows how to transmute private ache into professional discipline. Yet the message that hit him before sunrise had nothing theatrical about it. It was a family crisis, deep, abrupt, and merciless, that knocked the rhythm out of his day and left him stripped of performance and posture alike. Cemre heard about it not from a trending topic, but from a whisper that arrived through trusted hands. The reaction was immediate and practical, the kind of urgency you can't choreograph. She canceled meetings. She put her phone on silent and shut the door on anything unnecessary. Without briefing anyone's camera, she booked the earliest route and slipped into the city like a shadow. There were no stylists, no carefully planned outfits, no perfume of publicity. Witnesses say she showed up as if she had been running, with concern written across her face, the kind of worry that makes you forget your own reflection. The place she entered had been chosen for one purpose alone, to protect what little privacy could still be protected. On the doorstep, something wordless took over. What happened wasn't explained. It was held. A long embrace, the kind that collapses entire fortresses, became the language they needed. People nearby swear that in that embrace lived years of quiet distance, the weight of arguments never fully had, and words that, for better or worse, had stayed locked behind careful smiles. There were no flashbulbs. No statements. Only two people standing close enough for the world to fall away. The rest of the day unfolded with an unglamorous kind of heroism. Cemre did not simply show up, she carried. She stood in the corridor where grief meets paperwork, where the heart is asked to sign forms it isn't ready to read. She watched over doorways and waiting rooms. She managed calls without making a scene. And when Gökberk lowered his head, trying to turn a tear invisible, she reached for his hand the way you'd tie a line to a dock in rough water, not delicately, but with a steadiness that says, "I'm here until the storm passes." "Please don't try to thank me for this," she reportedly murmured, and in those few words was a deeper admission. She was not there for nostalgia, not to relive old chapters, but because she knows darkness by name, and she refuses to let anyone navigate that night alone. Evening found them somewhere ordinary, sidewalks, trees rustling, the soft sound of city traffic, yet the simplicity felt monumental. They walked without hurry, wordlessly more often than not, as if language had been downgraded to a background tool that couldn't fully hold what was happening. From across the street, from behind the wheel, from the dim corners of cafes, a handful of eyes witnessed two silhouettes moving together in a piece that didn't need explaining. Of course, the world arrived anyway. A single sighting can become a chorus within minutes. The image traveled in fragments and whispers, reshaped with each telling like glass turning inside a kaleidoscope. Some swore they saw the old romance reignite in a glance. Some argued that what they witnessed was something more mature and, in its way, more radical, loyalty without bargaining, support without credit. As feeds filled up, one idea stood out: whatever happened that day, the instinct to guard dignity came first. In the industry, reactions surfaced quickly and carefully. An actress friend posted a few lines that felt like an open door left ajar, not explicit but heavy with meaning. A co-star switched to black and white for the day, sharing an image that said, "I'm here," without tagging anyone. Those who know both of them took a quiet stance, building a kind of shield around the situation, insisting that not all pain belongs to the public square. Some people only show up for the parties, others stay when the roof caves in, wrote a media figure who didn't need to sign their name. It was the kind of message that lets the audience read between the lines, and read they did. What didn't appear were official remarks. Neither Gökberk nor Cemre released a statement. That silence wasn't a strategy so much as a choice rooted in respect, for the people most affected, for the moment itself. It's a bold decision in a time when everything is processed instantly and packaged for sharing. And yet, that's what they did. They chose the less traveled road of letting the day stand unexploited. At one point, a photographer tried to push closer, believing any frame would do. He was stopped by a relative with a simple request for compassion. That boundary, rare and firm, held. For some, the lack of leaked images was frustrating. For many others, it was a relief, a reminder that even now, some scenes are allowed to remain breathing in private air. The few pieces that did reach the outside were nothing more than quiet recollections, a coat draped over a chair while someone signed a document, a cup of tea going cold untouched, a door closing softly behind two people who were, for once, not performing. As the day's echoes stretched into the night, old quotes came back with new gravity. Lines from interviews that once sounded like polite philosophy now read like compass points. Pride can't kill certain bonds, someone had said years ago, and now those words felt heavier, like something written into the grain of a table rather than printed on a page. Another memory resurfaced, a sweet fragment from a set where a mess-up turned into a shared laugh. Fans stitched those anecdotes together with patient care, building a timeline that, seen from today, no longer looks like scattered moments but like a thread that never snapped. So, was this a grand romantic reconciliation? Or was it something quieter and equally precious, a gesture of care born from history and understanding, with no future demands attached? The honest answer is that not everything needs to be decided right now. A promise can be the holding of a hand in a difficult hallway. A vow can be a walk taken without anyone needing to fill the silence. What emerged was a truth we don't celebrate enough. There are acts of care that have no audience in mind and no transaction at the end. They happen, and they matter, even if they never lead to a label. To everyone who watches the arcs of these two with a caring eye, how does this moment read to you? Do you see a fresh beginning taking shape, or do you see the kind of solidarity that stands tall without asking to be called anything at all? What does it mean, to you, to arrive for someone with no expectation of applause? Tell us what you think. We live for your thoughtful takes. Here at Secrets Behind the Stars, we try to tell stories not as commodities, but as pulses, as beats in the lives of people you've come to care about from afar. If this moved you, if it reminded you of times when someone stood by you while nobody else knew, support the channel by subscribing and leaving a like. Turn on the bell so you don't miss what comes next. And if you feel like being part of the engine that keeps this kind of storytelling possible, tap join. Every bit of support helps us keep depth intact and resist the temptation to flatten lives into bullet points. Would you like us to look deeper into how that day was experienced from the inside, by the production team that had to rearrange schedules without questions, by the friends who knew what not to ask, by the drivers and assistants who politely ignored ringing phones? If that's a story you want, tell us in the comments, and we will go after it with the same care we gave this one. And let me leave you with an image that sums it all up. It isn't a proposal or a confessional thread. It's two figures walking under a sky that doesn't need to be named, carrying on their shoulders the weight of mistakes, the comfort of shared humor, the history of everything unsaid and everything forgiven. There are no courtroom promises, no jewels changing hands. There is simply the knowledge that, when everything else broke, someone chose to remain. In a time of vanishing attention spans, that decision might be the rarest news of all, the kind that lasts. Thank you so much for watching this video on Secrets Behind the Stars. We'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and good night.